Group 3. Along with my group mates are Alpahora, Galion, Carol, Fernandez, Paras, Pulmano, Real, and Valencia. We will be discussing about sedimentary cycle and phosphorus cycle. Enjoy the presentation.
Did you know about how humans bring negative effect to the phosphorus cycle? I am Jamielyn Mariano Valencia, and we are here to talk about how phosphorus cycle ought to be seen from the entire Earth system. The process of the cycle itself and human impacts to the cycle, which brings numerous changes in the world, contributing to the eutrophication process and epigenetic changes in contrast to hereditary of these practices involved.
Hi, I'm Ian Dominic Pulmano, and I'm about to introduce what phosphorus is and its essence to organisms. Phosphorus is a mineral that is vital to the growth of organisms like plants, animals, and humans. One main function it gives is that it forms the inorganic components of nucleic acids, adenosine triphosphate, teeth, bones, and phospholipids. It also plays a role in our metabolic reactions. In addition, our DNA also consists of phosphorus, where it is connected by phosphate ester bonds. For bones and teeth, including exoskeletons of insects, it is composed of calcium phosphate. For plants, phosphorus can be found in every living plant cell, where it is used for transferring energy, for photosynthesis, for transforming sugars and starches, for regulation of protein synthesis, for transferring of genetic characteristics, and etc. These are just some of the uses of phosphorus, and there's a lot more ways it can be used out there. But now, let us talk about how phosphorus moves around us.
Hi, I'm Michael John Fernandez, and I'm going to explain the cycle. The phosphorus cycle is a slow process compared to the other cycle like the water cycle. It involves three main procedures: weathering, absorption, decomposition. Since the primary source of phosphorus materials is found in rocks, the first procedure of the cycle involves the extraction of phosphorus from the rocks by weathering. Weathering of the rock can happen by any erosion activity, like water and wind erosion, and this causes phosphorus to erode into the soil. Once in the soil, plants and fungi can uptake phosphorus through the roots and grow. In addition, phosphorus can also be eroded into the local water body, where many microorganisms can also absorb the said component, while animals and humans obtain phosphorus by eating plants and drinking water. And lastly, decomposition. This happens when plants and animals die and decompose, where they return the phosphorus materials back to the environment via water and soil. And that completes the whole cycle. Now, for the anthropogenic effects.
Hello, I am RJ Alpahora presenting the anthropogenic effects occurring in the phosphorus cycle. There are two main concepts of effects in this matter. One is the direct impact of humans in the said cycle, and second is the byproduct of these personages. A key contributor to the impact of humans on the phosphorus cycle is the development and use of commercial synthetic fertilizers to promote plant growth. As plants may not be able to use all the phosphate fertilizers, the excess is transferred to water sources in that region by water runoff. The outflows of water treatment plants contain other human sources of phosphate. The phosphate in the waste will not be eliminated during different treatment operations without the requisite tertiary treatment, which is very costly, resulting in an additional amount of phosphate entering the water sources and polluting them. This extra phosphate released by human activities results in a shift in the initial phosphate cycle. Another key factor is the development of natural eutrophication. When food is transported from farms to towns, the large amount of phosphorus pumped into the water systems are referred to as artificial or anthropogenic eutrophication. The overabundance of plant nutrients when phosphorus levels are too high serves to drive excess algae growth, which is known as eutrophication. These organisms take out lots of dissolved oxygen in water and are harmful to plants and animals in the environment. Thus, as excess quantities of phosphorus are released into the environment, human actions serve to damage terrestrial and aquatic environments. These factors start as minor disturbances in the phosphorus cycle, but in time it becomes a major nuisance to the process due to the majority of harm that it brings in the long run.
I am Adrian Rocalion and I will be representing about invasive species. First off, what are invasive species? An invasive species can be any kind of living organism, an amphibian like the cane toad, plant, insect, fish, fungus, bacteria, or even an organism seeds or eggs that is not native to an ecosystem and causes harm. They can harm the environment, the economy, and every human health. Invasive species are primarily spread by human activities, often unintentionally. People and the goods we use travel around the world very quickly and they often carry uninvited species with them. Human health and economies are also at risk at invasive species and the impacts of it are costly. The invasive species are harmful to our natural resources as it can compete with the native species for food and habitats and sometimes even cause extinction. One great example is the people and companies in the mining industry because it disrupts the phosphorus cycle and it's one of the reasons why we can call ourselves invasive species.
Hello, I am Job Stephen Rial, and I will be presenting about epigenetics. Let's start with the question, what is epigenetics? Epigenetics is the study of how your behaviors and environment can cause changes that affect the way your genes work. Unlike genetic changes, epigenetic changes are reversible and do not change your DNA sequence, but they can change how your body reads a DNA sequence. Gene expression refers to how often or when proteins are created from the instructions within your genes. While genetic changes can alter which protein is made, epigenetic changes affect gene expression to turn genes on and off. The best examples of epigenetics are the DNA methylation, histone modification, and non-coding RNA.
Hello, I'm Madrid Philip Perez and I'm here to summarize all the topics that was presented today. First is phosphorus. Phosphorus is a mineral that is vital to the growth of organisms. Compared to other processes like the water cycle, the phosphorus cycle is way more slow.
This cycle involves three procedures. First is weathering, second is absorption, and lastly decomposition. Weathering. This is the extraction of phosphorus from rocks. Second, absorption. Absorption is where the absorption of phosphorus in soil, plants, and food occur. And of course, lastly, decomposition. Decomposition occurs when plants and animals die and decompose. Anthropogenic effects occurring in the phosphorus cycle are mainly divided by two main concepts. First is the direct impact of humans in the cycle, which is mainly because of the development and use of synthetic fertilizers to promote plant growth. Second is the creation of personages. Another key factor is the development of natural eutrophication. It is when food are transported from farms to towns. Another topic that was tackled is about invasive species. Invasive species are identified as any kind of living organism that is non-native to an ecosystem and causes harm. Invasive species are often caused by human activities, often unintentionally. Lastly, epigenetics. Epigenetics is defined as the study of your behaviors, and environment can change the effect the way your genes work.
Hi there! So now we have come so far that in this part of this informative video, we are now in our conclusion. My name is her as well. And as we finish, we share information about the phosphorus cycle and how we have become invasive species of our own home. We should make a movement to have a realization. Are we really invasive species? Well, let us take a look again at the definition where it says that an invasive species is an alien species whose introduction does or is likely to cause economic or environmental harm or harm to human health. Are we non-native species to the Earth? To answer that, according to Sarah Zogitsky, an award-winning science writer and editor, in her article, Are Humans an Invasive Species? She said that humans might have colonized every continent, but we are native species. Also, we are not introduced to a new habitat, which is the Earth. We move ourselves. There is no outside entity facilitating the spread of humans. From that information, we do not qualify as an invasive species because it has to be man-made. But, the big but is that the criteria that an invasive species had adverse effects on its new habitat or on human health, well, obviously, we are really qualified in this definition in too many ways to count. At this very moment, there is a number of human activities like the use of fertilizers and artificial eutrophication that has a great impact on the phosphorus cycle. The phosphorus fertilizers increase the level of phosphorus in the soil. Overuse of these fertilizers reduces the fertility of the soil and is also harmful to the microorganisms present in the soil. When these are washed away into the nearby water bodies, they are hazardous to aquatic life. During the shipping of food from farms to cities, the amount of phosphorus that is washed away in water causes eutrophication. This leads to the growth of algae, which is most of the time toxic in the aquatic ecosystem. But what do we do to invasive species when they are causing too much harm in the environment? eradicate, we eradicate them. But how will we eradicate ourselves when we come to a time that we are too much for the Earth? Well, I still do not lose hope on humans. I mean, us. And Earth is what we all have in common. The environment is where we all meet, where we all have mutual interest. It is the one thing that all of us share. I think now it is the time. What are you waiting for? Share this video, make up an action, you can do it. Why are you still here? You do not believe yourself? Well, all I could say is never doubt that small and thoughtful mind without you have. Little did you know, committed citizens can change the world. Bye-bye!